Hey everyone, welcome to another car review. Today, we'll be looking at the Nissan R390. After reviewing the Mercedes CLK GTR in my last review, a lot of you guys recommended that I check this out as well. And this might be an interesting review because I figure a lot of people probably have this car in their garage because it's the car you need to buy to unlock the Forza edition of the GTR LM. So I feel like this car probably gets skipped over a lot, but today, let's focus on the R390. Like the CLK GTR from my last review, this is another car built for the 24-hour Le Mans, and it actually took the place of the GTR LM once Nissan realized the GTR just wasn't competitive enough in GT racing, especially with manufacturers like Porsche and Mercedes building much more focused and purpose-built GT cars. So we've got the R390 with us now, and let's take it out for a test drive. And first things first, let's hear the engine sound. I feel like that sounded pretty proper. At low revs, there was a nice rumble to it, and then just overall, it sounds like a proper GT racing car. So definitely a fan of the sound. And now on to how the car feels. The first thing I noticed right off the bat was that there's a surprising amount of understeer, and the car feels more weighty than I was expecting it to. Similar to, again, with the CLK GTR, it really feels like this is a car you have to kind of wrestle around corners. I'm hoping with a proper tune I can take away some of that understeer and hopefully make the car feel a bit more nimble, but let's go ahead and hop into the garage and see what we're working with for mods. Starting with the tire options, it looks like we're on a pretty basic compound from the factory, so I'll definitely be looking into upgrading that. However, on the right you can see here we have wheel spacing options. Always happy to see that. The CLK GTR did not have those, so definitely a point up against the GTR there. Moving though to Forza Aero, we're stuck again with the default options. And for engine swaps, it looks like we have the 3.8 liter V6 twin turbo. I do actually quite like that engine. And then we can also, of course, swap to all-wheel drive. So I will mess around with these settings here and come back with a tune for you. Alright, we have for the R390 here an S2 class road tune, pushing 707 horsepower on the stock engine and weighing just under 2,000 pounds. This car was actually tuned pretty well out of the box, with the notable exception of alignment settings, which definitely needed some adjustment, but overall the car just drove pretty well right away. The understeer just kind of went away on its own a little bit with some better suspension and better tires, and it just feels great to drive now. So let's go ahead and take it around the test track and see how it does. Alright, so with my tune on this car and keeping things rear wheel drive, I definitely felt that the car was still a little bit squirrely, but that's kind of a learning curve thing. On my fourth lap around the test track, I was definitely starting to figure out the car a little bit more and kind of how I had to take care of it. So that being said, this car has some seriously impressive cornering ability. The amount of turn-in ability and grip that this car has was just blowing me away. On this hairpin uphill section, I usually have to be really careful on the throttle and my steering input, but I could be much more aggressive with the R390 and it wouldn't really lose grip at all. And if it did kind of start to get out from under me a bit, it was really easy to wrangle the car back in, so you could start to feel really confident, and the loss of grip, although it didn't happen that much, was super consistent, super easy to manage, and I feel like with a little more time with this car, I could definitely put down some really competitive times on this test track. But that's not how the car review series works. It's all about the kind of first initial impressions in the first 4 laps, so let's go ahead and see how the R390 stacked up. So our obvious competitor here is the CLK GTR, which did the lap in 202.338, but the R390 just barely beat it out, getting a 201.929. And I think that's cool to see. It's almost reassuring to me that both of these GT 24-hour Le Mans cars are pretty equally matched, so that's pretty awesome to see. But let's go ahead and head over to the Hockey score and see how the R390 does there. Alright, so starting right off the bat with looks, this is probably going to be another controversial one again. Although these cars are incredibly striking and really exciting to look at, I just don't think they have very attractive body lines, like with the CLK GTR, and they just kind of didn't age well in my opinion. So for looks, I'm giving it a 5. Moving on to sound, I would love to give this car an 8, but there seems to be kind of a weird audio bug going from light to heavy acceleration where it skips a beat, so I'm docking it a point for that. Sound gets a 7. And it gets a 3 for customization, 1 point over the CLK GTR because this car had wheel spacing options. Now for fun, the CLK GTR got an 8, and I think that was just a little more fun to drive than this, so I'm giving the R390 a 7 fun score. Now as for competitive scoring, since this car is so similar in pretty much every way to the CLK GTR, its scores will be similar as well. So for drag, I'm giving it a 6, for rally, a 1, for race, it gets an 8, for drift, it gets a 3, and for online, it gets a 6. If you do want some more reasoning into these scores, just check out my CLK GTR review, again, because pretty much everything is the same functionally about these two cars. So now moving on to the right side of the board with the flexibility score, the R390 gets a 4.2, just over the CLK. Now for style points, the CLK got a max score of 5, and I think the R390 is equally as cool, so I'm giving it another 5. This leads us to a total Hokey score of 55.2. This puts the R390 just a little bit over the CLK GTR, mostly due to the fact that I thought it sounded a little bit better, and those wheel spacing options are big to me. So everyone, that just about wraps things up for my review on the Nissan R390. The devs just announced that their Update 10 live stream is going to be coming out this Monday, so definitely look out for some videos on that. I'm hoping we get info on Expansion 2, but maybe we'll have to wait until E3. We will see. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks everyone for watching.